Hello, my name is Jonathan Swift and welcome to the latest edition of the Insurance COVID Cast, brought to you by Insurance Age and Insurance Post. Well, you might have thought we'd had the last word on the 2020 Insurtech 100, brought to you by Insurance Post and Sonr Global, but that is not the case. Because today, I'm delighted to say, I'm joined again by Sonr's founder and CEO Matt Connolly to talk to the CEO of the #2 ranked Insurtech globally, WeSure's Alan Lau. Welcome, Alan, and welcome, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Rusty.
So, Matt, perhaps I'll hand the baton over to you. You can get the questioning started.
Good man. Alan, can you explain to the viewers the origin story behind WeSure and the relationship with Tencent and WeChat?
Sure. Tencent is one of the largest internet conglomerates in the world, and it has a range of functions in China, ranging from social media to games to finance. There's about 800 million users that use WeChat Pay on a daily basis. And on that platform, a number of finance services are being offered, from wealth management to microloans. And it's around 2016-17 that Tencent started looking very intently into insurance and felt that's an important service to add. So, that really was the genesis of WeSure. So WeSure is the first majority-owned and official internet platform under Tencent. We live within the WeChat ecosystem. So, for anyone that's in China, if you open WeChat and you click into the wallet, you'll see WeSure alongside a number of the finance services that I mentioned just now. So right now, WeSure had around 100 million registered users, and we insure over 40 million users right now.
Wow. And what makes WeSure so different to the traditional insurance businesses in China?
Yeah. I guess we're different in that we don't have any agent. We are purely online. But contrary to people believing that, well, that might mean that I don't get any service, actually, that appeals to a lot of netizens in China that are very confident e-commerce shopper. As you know, both e-commerce and digital payment penetration are very high in China. And a lot of people, especially the core insurance demographic, people in their 30s, have 10 years worth of shopping experience online. So, when it comes to financial services, even insurance, for them, it's just adding one more product category. And I think as long as we make it simple and relatable, then people would buy. And that certainly seems to be what we have seen in the very short history of WeSure in the past 2.5 years so far.
So, Alan, this is a question we've been asking to kind of all the Insurtechs we've been talking to, but how did WeSure respond to COVID-19 operationally?
Yeah, we started monitoring the situation since early January, and of course now it's a known fact that on January 20th, one of the leading experts, Zhong Nanshan in China, announced from his trip to Wuhan that there is human-to-human transmission. Right after that, the next day, we upgraded all of our medical coverage product with hospital cash tied to COVID coverage. And over the next month, we actually launched quite a number of COVID coverage that has been taken up by about 15 million people, ranging from general public to specific segments like doctors, journalists, and volunteer workers who are really at the front line, making a lot of contribution to fight the pandemic in China.
So the numbers you're talking about there sound quite spectacular. Did you see take-up of insurance decline, stagnate, or stay the same during the pandemic?
Well, we've actually seen a pretty significant pickup. I think the outbreak of the pandemic means that it raised the risk awareness of a lot of people, and of course, everyone is staying home. And what would they do except for going online? And I think combined with that, we've seen a big surge in demand for our service. So we've added 25 million active users during the pandemic period, and we've seen a general increase in health insurance. Our quarterly number, just to give you a sense, I mean, Q1 versus Q4 last year has doubled. So that is an indication of the big surge in demand that we've seen, particularly in health coverage.
Yeah, can I ask, has the age demographic stayed the same in terms of the people buying insurance?
Yeah, actually, it's broadly the same. We've actually done a survey with Fudan University in Shanghai recently, and there is a couple of twists in it, in that we've seen a lot more female user purchasing. Our ratio used to be 6-4 between men and women, and it has kind of flipped during the pandemic. I think maybe, they within a family, they are even more aware of the risk that's bringing to the broader family, and they are the one that's sort of running online and taking out insurance. Age-wise, it's quite similar, but regionally, we also see a very interesting pattern in that provinces that has SARS memories, particularly Guangdong and Beijing, are among the top two provinces when it comes to shopping for health coverage. So I think that that those are a couple of interesting things that we've observed during the pandemic.
Oh, Matt, I think you're on mute.
Quite right. There's always one time in a call. Sorry. So super interesting, Alan. Thank you for sharing that. So you talked about a couple of the products that you brought to market in response to COVID-19. Are you able to give some sense of usual product cycle, so from concept to launch, and how you're able to achieve that so quickly?
Yeah. Well, I think there's two types of product launches. There is upgrades and brand new products. We've done both during the pandemic. Upgrade in this particular period are done within a day. So for example, with the announcement of human-to-human transmission, the next day we've upgraded all of our health coverage to include a COVID hospital cash allowance. So that is done within a day. For new products, it is done anywhere from a day to 3 days. I mean, it is very urgent, and because all this happened just before Chinese New Year, when everyone has left Shenzhen, which is our headquarters. So when we are trying to put together this new product, basically we have teams from 17 different cities across China, all working remote and piecing together everything from product terms to UI design to marketing and PR. But I think we all realize the responsibility that's been placed on us. We have the access to the market, and hopefully through WeSure as a platform, we can launch these type of services to those that really need it on the front line. And I think this is the required speed to compete in China internet in some ways. We also launch, in addition to what I've mentioned, the upgrades to existing product, and also the specific sort of demographic medical coverage that we've launched. We've also done something for the small, medium enterprise segment, because these are critical to the Chinese economy, as I'm sure you've read, but they're very vulnerable because, if they stop working, there's no income, right? And they usually tend to be couples, so husband and wife teams, right? So we've launched in a couple of, so basically in early February, we've launched the SME coverage, where we cover both. We covered the couple, and basically they would get 100 RMB compensation for every day that they cannot open shop due to the pandemic.
Wow. So there's lots of talk, Alan, of in the insurance community about the importance of customer experience and engagement. How do you measure customer satisfaction? I mean, how do you know that your customers are satisfied with the WeSure products that they have?
Well, we have regular survey of customer satisfaction that usually put us above 95%. But more interesting for us, we look at more real-time data. So just to give you an example, 80% of our buyers come back at least once during the first month after they've made the purchase to learn, to use, and to engage with what they have bought from us. We do realize insurance is very low frequency, so we also try to have adjacent services to deliver more value, even when they're not sick or they're not making any claims, right? So I think for us, that is a key part to deliver customer experience, because indeed a lot of insurance is covering risk that has a range of probability. So we want people to experience our service and product, even if they're not making claims. So just to give you an example, we have something called WeFit, which basically is a walk and earn program. And during the pandemic, we've actually inject a lot of health management elements into it, like they can set exercise target, BMI target, sleeping hour target, and we've seen a 50% in uplift. So we're trying to deliver experience not just in insurance, but also in adjacent services as well.
And is that, so I had a question for you, Alan, which is around where you see the growth opportunities. Is it in those services, or the wider opportunities, whether that's through other products, through other geographies?
Yeah.
Where do the opportunities lie?
While China is already, sorry.
No, so my question to you is where did the growth opportunities lie for you?
Yeah. China is actually the second largest insurance market in the world already, but penetration is still very low. So we see the biggest opportunity still in the mass market, and especially in health coverage. I think WeSure and Tencent has a unique opportunity and advantage in that we have a low cost to serve and reach a lot of users. Right now, health coverage in China is one of the broadest in the world, but it's actually very shallow. So if you're down with a big illness, then a lot of people cannot afford it. Just to give you a stat, 40% of people that enter poverty happen because there was someone in the family that got ill, right? So what we are focusing on is providing that health coverage for the mass and trying to add service to it as well. Because sometimes when you're really ill with something serious, it's not about the money. So what we do is we actually help people. For example, if they're down with cancer, we help our insured user make an appointment with the right specialist as well. So I think what we're trying to do is to combine claim that is financial compensation, but also services, which is what people really need.
And Alan, you've already mentioned WeFit and how WeFit has taken off during the pandemic. How does that fit in with your overall product set? Because I suppose it's like an adjunct to insurance, isn't it, really? And do you see doing more of that, maybe?
Yeah, I think, again, it goes back to our realization that while insurance is a very important financial instrument, it is very low frequency and it is difficult to build engagement. So we try to think of what is the one layer beyond insurance. And for us in health coverage, which is one of our key area, it clearly would be something that is exercise related. So that's why we launched WeFit, as a way to engage, but also as a way to acquire users, right? So it started life as a walk and earn. So basically you do 800 steps a day, and you make points which you can redeem different things. But now we've evolved that to include a range of health management tools, setting BMI target, sleep target, exercise target, and then you get points, which you can redeem for discount on your next installment, because most of our insurance are sold on a monthly installment basis, or they can redeem different gifts and goods. So, for us, it's a good thing because customers are engaged, and it also helps reduce risk, because what we're trying to do is in fact, we're influencing behavior, right? We're trying to encourage people to all live a healthier life. So, I think this is, it is important for us in that sense.
Swifty, I'm enjoying your cat making an appearance. And I love the fact it's the same color as your beard.
That's right, yes.
That's pretty special. So I had a question. I think you've answered that, Alan, about your plans to expand outside of China. Are you saying for now China is your focus? There's still a lot of opportunity there for you? Yeah,
I think we're sticking to China for now. We've only been around for 2.5 years. We're still a very young company, and I think there's so much to tackle in China. I think this is where we see the big opportunity is.
So following on from that, Alan, I mean, do you follow what's going on the the Insurtech and digital insurance space globally, and do you have thoughts about the speed or otherwise the digitalization of insurance in other markets compared to China?
Yeah, I think we do, especially in the early stage of setting up WeSure, we take a very careful look at what are the innovative models around the world. Of course, there are a lot of interesting things happening, but we see most of those are to B rather than to C services, serving the big insurance company, right? And I think the China, when we come back to China, as we reflect on the opportunity, I think there is a very unique ecosystem, a digital ecosystem in China that allow more to C type of innovation like WeSure. So clearly we benefit from very high e-commerce and digital wallet penetration here. And I think WeSure via Tencent has a unique advantage in the very large WeChat traffic that we had, and also user profile of some of our customers from using various other services that allow us to tailor in a very similar way that Amazon would recommend the next product to buy, right? So I think, we do pay attention to what's going on outside, but, coming back, we reflect on the unique opportunity and we set up WeSure to be much more of a 2C type of play.
Lovely. And so 2.5 years in, which is incredibly sort of early stage, but for such a well-established business already, what does the next 12 months hold for WeSure?
Yeah, I think health, the coverage is a big category for us, and therefore the big next step for us is adding more product, but also getting into health management. So the evolution of WeFit that I mentioned, getting into all types of BMI, sleep hours, and exercise target setting is one way in creating that as a tool to engage and also to influence behavior so everyone can live a healthier life. The broader opportunity, as I also mentioned, is we think it's going to be in a mass market. So we're going to be providing more products at a different price point. An important space that we have started to explore about half a year ago is serving the underserved, particularly those that are sick already. Well, insurance has this funny element that we only insure people that are healthy, right? So what happens if you're sick already, or if you're a cancer patient, right? So about half a year ago, we've launched the first cancer coverage for those that are ill already in China. And it took us quite a lot of effort because it means that we have to integrate not just with the hospital, but also with the big pharmaceutical companies that are providing the cancer fighting drugs. But we think this is an important market for us to serve, right? There are 4 million new cancer patients in China every year, and the number keeps adding up. So, and it's a very underserved market in China and globally. So, I think we have the platform and some of the opportunity and the responsibility to do that if we can do that.
Okay, Alan, well, I'll say we very much look forward to seeing how you progress over the next 12 months and to see where you finish in next year's Insurtech 100. So thank you again, Alan, and thank you very much, Matt. As I said at the start of this broadcast, this is brought to you by Insurance Age and Insurance Post. If you want to register or subscribe to either title, then please use the banner which is up here. Until the next episode of the COVIDcast, though, it's a goodbye for me, and stay safe, everybody. Cheerio.